Talking about Katie Taylor there and 20 by 20. We have a very special episode of Dadcast coming up. Dadcast for Daughters on OTB AM as Ger, Nathan, Adrian, Andy Lee and Kieran Donaghy as well. They sit down and chat about their hopes for their daughters in the future.
As part of the 20 by 20 campaign, there's a new initiative today to show your stripes. So they're asking a bunch of people to post pictures of them on social media wearing the stripes and talking about how they're going to be involved in making more coverage, more attendance and more participation in women's sport. You two are both, everybody has daughters, right? Yeah. So that's why Dave's not here. It's not that he's not showing up to work anymore. How old is your daughter?
A year and a half.
Right. So not quite into sport yet.
No, kicks the football, throws the ball well.
Is he?
Does a few little press-ups. Does her squats.
When she starts squatting, you know you're in trouble. You know it's coming.
So, yes. No, like obviously, I don't like this. This campaign is great, but for me, sport is such an intrinsic part of my life that it will be natural for me to have her involved in sport in every way possible. You know, and we she's a bit young yet to be going to like a loud spawn event, but whenever we can, when we have the head candies now, the school candies, she'll be going. Yeah, she'll be going to soccer matches and football and rugby and whatever is boxing matches as well.
Yeah. So you've two daughters?
Two daughters, yeah. Lola Rose is nearly 4. She's shooting away, throwing through the hoop around the house.
Right.
Throwing the ball, trying to get her to not actually just fling the ball up in the air because it could land anywhere. But she does aim at the basket and she can get it in a good bit. So I'm training her away there. Indy is joining in, more getting balls hopped off her head from Lola Rose's missed shots while she's crawling around the floor. But there's a little half an hour session a few evenings a week outside in the hall in the house. Yeah,
right.
So bit of crack. She enjoys it. She likes it. Taking her to sporting venues, it's easier when they're a year and a half or 2 when they start getting to they know what they want. Like Hillary's tried to take her a few games, but she just wants to run around and she wants to go to me on the basketball court at the Warriors games and stuff. But Hillary ends up getting stressed and just kind of leaving midway through the third quarter when Lola Rose is roaring to watch Paw Patrol on the phone or something.
We went to the Dublin Mayo ladies football final. So when was that? 2017, and we had to leave at half time. There was the 3 of them. It was just a bad idea. It was too soon to bring 3 of them. We should have just brought the eldest, but then the other 2 would have been like so. And we were kind of up in the gods as well, and you realise that it's a little bit high here for them. So
they're not going to tune into.
Yeah, but I guess local sport is the thing to bring them to, like smaller stuff. But if you're playing and they're wandering out, that's not great.
no, not when there's 10 lunatics running around.
Great viral content though.
Smash. No, we don't want that. Don't want that for Lola Rose, and she's quite headstrong. So, it could be possible that she could wriggle free and just head straight mid-court and run into our American key jumper, who's 6'8" and about 18 stone running down the court. So yeah,
that won't end well.
No.
How old are yours?
6 months.
Right. So this hasn't become an issue just yet.
No, not just yet. The lads go to a lot of different sporting events, and they're 7 and 5, so they're still at that stage of trying to get them to sit, while also not wanting them to sit and watch their phone while they're at the event. To actually, I'd sooner leave early than have them sit there watching Paw Patrol or something just to keep them there.
Yeah.
But I would intend that fully.
What if it was a really good game?
Oof.
Paw Patrol will be out here in Wednesday.
Who am I kidding here? She's well able to stand up for herself at this stage with 2 older brothers. She's at that stage now. She likes to grab the eyes.
Okay.
She's like, right in, or grab the ear. We have to get both.
She's going to be a cornerback.
Yeah, we got both their hair cut quite short because every time she sees them, she just grabs the lump. So yeah, I reckon she's probably going to be tougher than the 2 of them.
She'd be well-minded.
No bad thing.
I did find it weird that they separate the boys and girls under 6 in GAA. I was kind of thinking that would come later on. That actually, there's no reason for them. They're doing laps and they're playing skills. She's 7. She'll be 8 in September. So has kind of come through that. Not mad into GAA on Saturdays. Is doing it in school though and still likes it and does gymnastics, which again they separate the boys and the girls from. And I don't really understand that. It's like you're doing you're like jumping up and down and you're doing forward rolls, and I don't understand it.
I was going to say that the football is probably due to them having so many numbers that they can do that. I know probably in smaller clubs it'd be a case of 6s and 8s, away you go lads, play away, and it's good for girls, that it's good that they're all running around together. I
think so too, because they're in school together.
Yeah, absolutely,
So where did that
differentiation, just go play, the good ones will be trying to get better. And
they'll all improve each other.
Yeah.
Because at that stage, maybe there are some parents who want their under 6 and under 8 to be like the best player in the country, but most parents just want them to go out and
I think there's a lot of parents who want their 6-year-old and their 8-year-old to be the best in the country.
Yeah.
You don't?
I don't know. It's such an alien concept to me at this point.
I would say,
although he's doing half an hour of basketball training every day, so
yeah.
He's like, which are the best Americans?
He's already got several advantages that we don't have, so we don't need to worry. I would say, from watching parents at football training and that, it's 50-50. That a lot of parents are pretty hardcore in that they see their kid has a little bit of talent in it and are pushing them as hard as possible and sort of screw everybody else. Whereas the other half are just happy to see their kids
running around,
out taking part.
Yeah. How do you handle that? Like, the only experience I have was Adam Booth's daughters were playing a hockey match in school, and it was hosted by the other school, and it was the other school's teacher who was the referee, and like it was all like, it was very one-sided in terms of the refereeing decisions that were going, the opposite team's way. And I was literally boiling inside at this, you know what I mean? And like, that's not my... I can only imagine it. Like, how do you guys handle it? If you're at a sporting match and there's parents getting involved or there's things that are going wrong, like...
I don't know. I don't know what that'll be like.
Well, I only have this Sunday, my son is playing his first proper soccer league match, and I'm not going to be there to support him for this, but yeah, I would, because I'm actually very chilled out about things on the sideline. I see it from their practice matches. Like, again, you're just going, there's 6. Relax. Nobody cares.
My nephew one time was playing a soccer match in London, and they actually got hammered. His team were like, his coach was this middle-aged woman, and she was on the sideline having a smoke, and like, they haven't even trained, they just turn up and play, and like, they were playing against this other team from like, they trained at the West Ham Academy. They're in like the best outfits, all like cut slick style hairs, and they got hammered. It was like 18-0 or something. And I ended up refereeing like half of the match because it was like volunteer with someone referee, and then like, I ended up getting aggressive with one of the coaches, because at the end of the match it was like, what's the score? And I was like, it's 18-0, It was like, are you sure it's not 19? Are you sure it's not 19? Like, he wanted the extra goal. What? Like, the kids were all standing there, like, and I gave him a look like I was going to go through him, what I mean?
Please tell me you were doing everything in your power to get the other team get a goal. Like,
oh yeah,
you were the most biased. You were that biased ref in the hockey match.
But like,
what an asshole, by the way.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
I think most people. I was at a game at the weekend. A mate of mine, his son was playing. It must have been like, under 8s or 9s, and again there was like a mix of boys and girls, and they were all sort of going for it. But like, his kid was just really looking for a bit of enthusiasm and a bit of encouragement and a bit of a pat in the back. That's all he wanted out of it. Like, he wasn't. I don't think this kid, like, I'd say the same applies for most kids, that you're not really...
Well, now hang on. So we've got 2 elite athletes here, so you guys must have been pretty competitive as kids, right? Mm-hmm. There's somewhere along the way some coach goes, you need to knuckle down here, right?
Yeah, there is, like, there would have been a bit older than that now, though, like, probably around 12 or 13 that my basketball coach was kind of saying, you're good enough at this, you need to start maybe looking at getting up early, getting extra shots in, go to the gym. Didn't have to tell me too much now, like, and I was like, my dad was kind of gone from us at kind of 12 from a sporting point of view, and my mum left us at it, so I never had that parent on the sideline that was being my dad would have been chirping in the odd time, and I didn't really like it.
Yeah.
So from my point of view, I always found that if I will always I'll talk to my kids when they get home and whatever, casually about it, but I think it's important to kind of let them feel out the coach, because then it's like, when I do my basketball camp, the parents are like, the kids always listen to you, they don't listen to me at all. And I'm like, yeah, that's because you're their parents. They're hearing you every single day. So I think always that it's good to let kids listen to coaches and tell them to listen to their coaches, and don't kind of never undermine a coach, I would say, at that age.
And I think I know from like being involved in sport and watching boys who come up with me at my age, and then the ones who had the pushy parents or really good, really young, they never come through and make it out because they have too young, and there's so much pressure on them, and they kind of get burnt out from being so dedicated so young. Like for me, until I was about, I'd say 13, 14, 15, it was just about having fun.
Yeah, and enjoying it.
Part that I was good at it was just whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I probably wouldn't have liked it if I was losing as much. I probably wouldn't have stuck at it as much. But
yeah.
My dad was just a driver. He just drove me, never pushed me, never, you know. There was the odd day when I'd say like, oh, I don't feel like going to thing. He knew I was just being lazy. He'd say, no, come on, you're getting in the car now. But other than that, there was no like, no like living through me in a sense. You know what I mean? It was just like, this is what you do. If you want to do it, go and do it. And I always find that maybe that's something that I'll have to learn that. Let them be who they're going to be. You know, don't push them, but don't push them when they need it.
There are some like high-profile examples of where pushy parents like really works. Like the Williams, Tiger Woods, Andre Agassi. I'm sure there's a list along your arm of where pushy parents actually works, but it just seems to be. I don't know. Certainly from when I was growing up to now, it just seems to be like just a thing not to do.
Would you? I don't know. I'm not sure. I can't say it for now, but a lot of the time, I know in boxing, when the dad is the coach, those relationships are not always the healthiest, or not always the best in terms of being a father and a son. But I don't know.
I think you hear about all these high-profile ones, as you've mentioned there. But I'd say there's thousands that went the opposite way, and went the opposite way downhill hard, where the kid actually probably ended up just not playing anymore, didn't enjoy it. You know, almost maybe sometimes embarrassed. I'd be at games sometimes where I'd look at the kid's reaction, and they'd almost nearly be embarrassed at maybe something that the parent was roaring on.
I don't know if you've ever seen the documentary on Victoria Pendleton.
No.
It was released just before the London Olympics in 2012, when she ended up in sort of one of the stars for the British team, and she had the pushiest father of all time. Basically, he was an amateur cyclist back in the day who never made it and wanted to try and live his success, or live her success through him. So when he was about, I think 10, they'd go out on a Sunday cycle, and they'd go about 10, 15k, and then he'd just go and cycle as fast as he could, and she'd have to try and keep up. Otherwise, she was just lost in the middle of nowhere. And that was the training.
And then she wins gold at the Olympics, and she's like, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. Or does she hate him forever?
I'm fairly sure she hates him forever. Do the sporting organisations have recommendations for what age to split by gender? Or is it just up to the individual coach, the individual club?
I presume it's up to the individual clubs, and it comes down to...
Because when you do think about it, like splitting them at 6 suddenly gets into the lads' heads that, well, we're doing a different sport to the girls are, and it's automatically put into their head that we're more skilled and we're more talented at it, and that's going to last forever. Whereas, like, you look at something like swimming, like my lads do swimming, and it's a mix of boys and girls. Like, they would never for a second think that we swim separately, or we could be in any ways better, or we would look at it differently. Like, it seems to be a very young age to be...
But if it was a competition, they probably would at some point. They would at some point.
Yeah, but 6 or 7 is very...
It is very young, yeah. I'm not saying it's right, I'm just saying the comparison is not like the organised football, because the comparison to that is the swimming competition.
Are your basketball camps 50-50, or is it...
Yeah, it's exactly, it's 50-50, and we all do our skills in the mornings, and everybody does them together, and everybody's around the place with the balls. But like, even we were talking earlier on about it's important too to have them to as you said, to bring him to sports. You know, if we're going to get him into sports, bring him to sports, because it's seeing that it's getting, you don't know when that little kick or when that little buzz is going to come for your 7-year-old or your 5-year-old. We're kind of too young yet, really.
Yeah.
But you know, around that age, taking them to sporting events is important, because, like, you know, you even see the ladies football final last year and the amount of young girls that was at it.
Yeah.
We had the Garveys, Warriors and Tralee. The amount of kids at the games is frightening. I'm talking hard with the club at the moment about trying to get a ladies team into Tralee. Not because I have a young girl, but because there's so many young girls at the game. I'd like for them to be like Leicester basketball, have a girls game at 5 and the men's game at 7:30. I'd like that mix. I'd like the girls to be able to come up and watch the women play, and then watch the men play as well, and the boys vice versa. But I think it's important to kind of to show them that, you know, this is taken very basketball is taken very seriously, but it's not just taken very seriously for the men, it's taken very seriously for the girls too. So, like, we've got brilliant lady basketballers from Kerry, but they're all out playing with other clubs, because there isn't a Super League team in Kerry.
Yeah.
You know, so we've, you know, Anya McKenna, Loretta Marr, Emma Sherwood, and teams in Dublin and Cork. You know, and I'd be interested to see if they would consider coming back down to Kerry or moving closer to home if they could play the sport they love and that they've been playing for 10 years at Stair. And I'd love nothing better to be bringing Lola Rose and Indy up to games in a few years where there was girls. And that used to be the way. When I was very young going to the games, it was Lee Strand ran and then Garvey's ran, and then Lee Strand were the ladies teams, and they used to always get good crowds. But I think it's so much, it's getting more publicity now, and we need to keep that going because it's very important.
On a basic economic level, it's doubling the size of your potential audience. Like, so it makes economic sense, and it like obviously makes social sense, and it makes health sense, and it makes like it's just the most obvious thing ever, and yet we're kind of everything just moves so slowly. That's the kind of frustrating point.
One good thing about gets a lot of stick. The IABA, the Irish boxing, had the elite senior finals at the weekend, and it was both mixed men and women were competing on the same night. So you had like maybe 2 fights of men, 2 fights of women, and they were kind of mixed, and there was no separation in it, and there was as many young girls in the crowd as there was young boys to watch these these boxers, and the amount of inspiration they were getting from the likes of Keely Harrington or Amy Broadhurst, and like you said, your examples are so important, and you're heroes. So that's one thing I would commend the Irish Boxing Association on, is that they've always pushed female boxers as much as they have the male.